This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, saving your day from boredom with the best podcasting entertainment.
What's up, super fans? Ricky Widmer here, along with Sean Anderson.
Howdy.
And Dave, the Babyface Oster.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah, we're referring, that's a new thing, the Babyface.
We're going to glance over the fact that I was actually ready with a greeting for the first time ever.
You were. And I like howdy. I like how the howdy.
The most Chicagoan thing ever. Howdy.
But,
it's not Chicagoan.
Yep.
It was a joke.
That's right.
Welcome into another episode of Super Fans, where we go across everything with Chicago sports. Got a little Bulls on this one, a little Bears flavor, a little Hawks flavor
talking
for the
Sky,
end.
Talking Red Stars, talking
Hell yeah.
Fire,
Talking
Windy
City Bulls,
talking Northwestern basketball.
Hell yeah. Well, no one wants to talk about Northwestern.
Are they the
We'll leave
team of
them
Chicago,
off.
really?
Yeah.
They're in Chicago.
That's the only reason why. But welcome into Super Fans. Patreon.com. That's a thing. Patreon.com /
Okay, you can't say Illinois is the Chicago or the College of Chicago when it's 3 hours away. That's like saying you're from Chicago when you're from fucking
But all
Naperville.
the alumni come here. All the alumni come here.
That's so sick, dude.
I mean,
that's so sick. And I used to live in Naperville, and now I'm chilling in the South Loop in an apartment that's super rad. I got 3 roommates. Like, fuck off. You're from Naperville, Chad.
I mean, to be fair, we also try to claim Notre Dame as our own, which it's not.
Yeah.
See?
I mean, Notre Dame should be our...
Notre Dame's actually cool, though.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
U of I sucks.
We're just stealing. We're appropriating Notre Dame. Sorry, Indiana.
Thanks. Well, thanks to Northwestern.
But before we get into everything, Patreon.com / Most Valuable Podcast. That's where you go and support us. Make sure that we can do dumb shit like this for you guys each and every week. But let's get into Bulls, Bears, Hawks. We'll start with the Bulls. And it hasn't been a good start to the year for the Bulls.
And I don't know why anyone's surprised. Like, literally, we talk about the Bulls every...
I'm surprised.
Here's the thing. This is the podcast where I can talk about this, all right? And both of you were like, the Bulls are making the playoffs. I don't know what you're talking about. Zach LaVine's better than Trae Young. He is such a great shooter.
Cut his mic real quick.
No, you're not cutting my mic.
I just want to say what we said, and you've taken it out of context for like a week and a half now, and you've just been on this roll.
I'm right.
No, you're not.
Better shooter.
What I said and what Ricky said from the podcast that we had where it was like Trae Young and
Zach LaVine.
Yeah. It was the like, who had the better shooting year last year? Zach LaVine did. And you're like, well, that means Zach LaVine's a better shooter. That's what you took out of that. And what we said Zach LaVine was a better shooter last year.
The discussion we were having is who is a better shooter.
Yeah. And I said Zach LaVine was a better shooter last year.
And I was saying that from everything that we've seen throughout Trae Young's career, that he's a better shooter. And he's showing that this year because he's
Trae
shooting
Young shot
50
awful in
fucking %.
college, too.
But he was shooting on crazy volume.
I know.
He was shooting on crazy volume with no teammates, which he was doing last year, too, in the first half as well.
I understand.
It's ridiculous that you didn't say Trae Young, because Zach LaVine isn't shooting from 45 feet and swishing and hitting nothing but net.
True.
Who is a better shooter? I don't give a shit about the percentages when it comes to actual volume and how they're hitting it. Because Trae Young can hit like a 360 no-scope of a three.
I know. I'm waiting.
He's a more skilled shooter. Yeah. Zach LaVine might make a higher percentage, and he's still shooting 37% from 3, which is really good for the NBA. Yeah. But still, Trae Young is an elite shooter. He has elite shooting skill. He's got the crazy release. But you guys were hyped all about the Bulls.
Yes.
Jim Boylen's going to Norway and swimming with Lauri Markkanen. He's going and kissing Thomas Sadorinsky's family out in the Czech Republic, watching them for the World Basketball Classic. And that means they're a playoff team. Get out of here. There's no star on this team. Lauri Markkanen's still showing that he's extremely timid both on offense and defense. Your best player so far is Wendell Carter Jr. and Kobe White. And guess what? Kobe White, I was a little bit wrong on, but he's still showing inconsistency throughout this year. He can get red hot, which we know, but also he can go 3 of 14 in 2 of his 5 games this year. This is absolutely ridiculous, and this is exactly what I expected from the Bulls. The only shocking thing from this Bulls season so far has been Otto Porter Jr.'s play. That's it.
I mean...
Wow. That was a strong words there.
I'm so sick of Bulls fans. I love being from Chicago, but every single year, it's overinflated expectations for this team, and it's every single year the Bulls fans just start complaining, and it's like, you know what, you got to start complaining about yourself, because you're setting these expectations. You're the fucking problem here.
We're at the bottom and we're reaching for hope, Sean. Yeah. Every offseason it's just reaching for hope.
And here's the other thing too. If you want to blame Garpax, you want to blame Jerry Reinsdorf, I'm fine with that. I'll jump on that boat. They should have been gone a long time ago.
But it's not
but also
gonna
at this
happen.
point, you guys are setting your expectations too high.
Here's the thing, and I want to bring this back into a sense of like, let's reel the cattle back home.
But why is this topic happening?
Because we suck right
That's
now.
why. And
Because we're terrible right now.
And it's been 6 games.
I want to go off of something you said, Sean, that Wendell and Kobe have been our best players. I'm going to take you on a journey through my Twitter notifications where our boy Mike 2K, we met him after the, was that the Bulls-Sixers game? The one we went to with Jake?
The double victory Bulls-Sixers game, yes.
That's right. We met him in the pro shop, talked to him. He hit me up on Twitter and he said, I'll give you my thoughts. This was after Bulls-Knicks. First half, great defense, ball movement. Second half, half-assed defense along with hero ball attempts. Loved Wendell tonight. Kobe looked timid. LaVine was what I feared with his extension. This went on with I'm like, oh, but like this and that. And it eventually got to Mike 2K saying, if we lose to the Cavs, blow it up and keep Wendell and Kobe. Everyone else can go. And then we lost to the Cavs. I love it. And he sent me a tweet that said, blow it up, and had the anger character from Inside Out just blowing his gasket. So, Dave, I want to go to you with this. Because the Bulls did win last night against the Pistons, so now we're 2 wins on the year.
You beat
Barely.
MVP Derrick Rose.
What are your feelings with this team?
Respect.
And who should be the blame early on this year? Because the question is, will we fire Jim Boylen? We will get to that. We've got to unpack some feelings here first. We already unpacked Sean's feelings. What's your feelings?
By the way, if you guys aren't keeping up with the Bulls every game, at least give Ricky's show a shot. Like, I thoroughly enjoy watching Ricky's reactions. He's dramatic as all get out, but it just makes it tolerable to have the emotions about the Bulls game, and then you go and watch Ricky, and you're like, Yep, that's a fan right there.
And here's the thing: I didn't even know we were doing this, and it just started popping up in my box. I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." But it seems like everyone's loving it. So
he
definitely
opened
go check
by
it out
roasting me and himself.
Yeah, I mean, this is
like his intros are just.
Apparently, one podcast wasn't enough, so we had to make this podcast. And apparently, this podcast wasn't enough, so now Ricky needs to make daily videos. I mean, this guy's got Bulls thoughts.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I'm just saying, like, we can't stop talking Bulls.
That's very true. Can't be contained. But yeah, I don't remember where we were even at.
What are your feelings right now? What are your feelings right now? And who's at fault?
His feelings are go watch Ricky.
Go watch Ricky. It makes you feel slightly better about the state of the Bulls. No, my feelings are that Boylen's to blame for a lot of this, but he doesn't put the roster together. He's there to make sure the right guys are on the court at the right time, which he's failing to do. I think one of the most interesting things is not 100% to their own faults, but like Lauri Markkanen in the last 2 fourth quarters has not played. Last night he had a side injury. He was clear to go back in the game, but did not because guess what? Thad was hot. Let's roll with the guy who is hot right now.
Boylen
as we almost choked away our
good now
lead.
too, so he should be practicing and getting ready to go.
But still, that's 2 games in a row. You're sitting your young promising star. I'm going to air quote that now thanks to Sean. And you start to wonder, what is the future of this team if we're making these lineup decisions? We had, the whole 3-man guard lineup where it failed as an experiment, but it's one of those things where it's like, okay, Boylen, how do you adjust? How do you react to other teams in their lineups? And how do you make sure we've got the right guys out there to match? Because we seem to be losing a majority of these matchups outside of we can play our starting group together, and that's the only lineup that actually works the majority of the time. After that, we're pretty fucked. He seems to mix and match the wrong pieces because he can't find a great balance of defenders and somebody to keep the offense rolling.
And I think
it just doesn't exist.
I think a big part of that too is the fact that one of the guys that can keep you. I mean, really the main guys that can keep your offense rolling, Kobe White, Zach LaVine, and Lauri Markkanen aren't good defenders.
Yeah.
So and it's tough because none of those guys are true initiators. And I know people get upset with me. I got in a fight with a guy who wasn't even a Bulls fan about Kobe White not being a true number 1, but he's not. He's not a guy that can lead an offense. He's not a guy that can move the ball and get into the hands of your playmakers. He's a guy that can handle without a doubt.
Ricky, what was your favorite quote though about Kobe White and assists?
Where he just the 7-assist game, he fell into 7 assists.
Exactly. It's 100% it. Kobe White's main idea is always to score, and that's not a problem. That's absolutely fine. But he's not a number 1. You look at the way that some of these guys, and the guy I was fighting with was like,
he's a creator, is what you're saying.
Well, he's a scorer. Where where like guys like Damian Lillard and Steph Curry, those guys can be scorers but also creators because their offensive game leads to other shots and other opportunities for other people. They're using their best skills in the pick and roll, and they draw defenders, and that leaves other guys open, and that leads to offense. Where Kobe White's main thing is he's going to the bucket if it's open, and he's trying to blow past people, and when that all collapses, he needs to pass out of it and not pass to open guys. He's not passing to the guy that clears up because of open defenders. He's not a guy that is going to then go off a pick and roll and then pop up and shoot for a three because he's not that type of player. He's not an off-the-dribble shooter. He is not a number one yet, and that's not a problem. We knew this coming in. He was a combo guard for a reason. Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing that people are losing is your best players, your best guards are twos. It's Zach LaVine, who is a very good shooter, but I don't really think he's a deadly off-the-dribble shooter, and he's shown decent spots. He's shown the ability at times, but nothing majorly consistent. Okay. And when he is attacking, he likes to attack early and often. And that's another thing, too, where it starts collapsing, he passes it out. And then your other offensive guru...
Or he'll spin into it and then go, oh, I got to put up a shot where... Throw a pass out here, they'll throw it to Lauri. It probably won't go in, but at least we got an open three.
And that's the thing. And your offense, the other offensive guy is Markkanen, who Markkanen is going to work off of other people. And it's tough to do that when you don't still have a true point guard. And that's what this team doesn't have. So I think that's another reason why Boylen is struggling to find that, because he doesn't have the ability to put his offensive guys out there and then also bring defensive point guard. And that's kind of an issue with just Chris Dunn in general. I mean, Chris Dunn had a really nice game against Charlotte, had 4 steals, looked really good, but he hasn't still been Chris, he's been Chris Dunn. He hasn't been consistent. So
but the thing I'll say about Chris Dunn is I've liked what I've seen from him next to Kobe, where it's like, I'll let Kobe worry about all the offense, so I can just double down on defense and pick my spots when to attack the basket and when to try to score.
The thing always with Chris Dunn has been like he's shown flashes at times. There was that stretch, I think his second year, that he looked amazing and then he broke his face. And then I think he came back last year in the second half. He looked really good. He's shown spurts, but he's not consistent as well. But with this going to Boylen and him not being able to put the consistent lineups out there, probably because he doesn't have the personnel, but also with that, like even after the game, he just has these weird messages. And I keep thinking of it as
doubling down on the strength, the tradition. We're going to do that. It's like, what the hell are you talking about?
The time clock.
My favorite quote was, I think, after the Cleveland game. He's like, I think we won the first quarter. It's like, you think? You think you won the first quarter? You don't know? Like, what are you doing? Like he's always like, yeah, we went out there and we won the first and third quarter. And it's like, great. Why weren't you winning the other quarters? And he's always trying to be positive and putting a positive spin on it. It's like, what are you doing? It's like you're in this relationship, right?
He's a college coach. That's what he is to me. A college coach has to deal with kids that their egos might be a little fragile, and we got to bring up the morale. A pro team, like, I get Kobe White's just out of college, but it's like, you're a pro now. Like, that's the thing where I feel like he's treating this team like they're a college team and not a professional NBA team.
It's weird, too, because last year it was like, he's way too hard on these guys, and these guys hate him, and now it's like he's way too soft. So it's weird that he's not able to find a balance.
It's the public messaging versus what happens behind closed doors. I think that's the true dynamic of where, like, as a Chicago fan, Boylen's kind of confusing, because I agree. His post-game statements, his press commentary is one thing, but then you see, like, the workout issues, the whole punching at the time clock bullshit. Like, he has one mentality behind. Yeah, exactly.
That's not like that whole punching thing. Like, that's a fucking
gimmicky.
League. It's a Bush League move, and like I kind of get it. Like, whatever, if it works, it works. I don't really care, but it's clearly not working. But what I would compare it to with Jim Boylen and him talking after is like when you're in a shitty relationship with a horrible person, right? And you screw up, and like it's a 4 hours of yelling, and in the last 15 minutes she apologizes, and you're like, oh well, at least we had those 15 minutes. It's like you're in a toxic relationship, motherfucker. Wake up. Like, come on, you can't just be like, oh, well, at least we had that nice moment. At least saying goodbye was nice. The first 4 hours were horrible, but at least we said goodbye pleasantly. Like, come on, what are you doing? Like, realize that this guy was a pig with lipstick on when you hired him, and now you're stuck with him for 3 years. Like, he can't find a consistent message, it seems. He's trying to win over these players, and now he's too much of a pushover. He is not a guy that I think can be an NBA coach from what we've been seeing with his just messaging strictly. If you want to say he can't make lineups, I think we can make the argument that he doesn't have the personnel. But he clearly cannot coach these guys where a consistent message is being pushed across. Greg Popovich has been pushing the same message for 22 damn years. He came from that tree, and apparently he did not take in any of that information. Jim Boylen has been pathetic for his entire Chicago career, at least as a head coach. I don't think he's a pathetic person. I kind of like him. I don't know, but I don't wish him ill will or anything like that. But with all of that being said, I just think that the Bulls and Garpax made another bad move in a litany of what has been 15 years of bad moves.
And the thing that kind of blew my mind was, I didn't even remember this, but one of the tweets I mentioned on my Bulls reaction where Sylvie from Waddle and Sylvie said that Jim Boylen is the Freddie Kitchens of the NBA. Someone else came back and was like, they went ahead and extended him for no reason, and I know Jerry isn't going to pay to get rid of him now. And Sylvie replied to that and said they didn't conduct an interview with like the last 2 times. Like it was Fred's our guy, Boylen's our guy. And it's like, I get everyone saying Garpax is a problem. Garpax ain't going anywhere. I'm sorry, Chicago. I'm off of the let's wish for things that are not going to happen train.
Shoot him to the moon.
Like, shoot him to the moon. But the thing is, the positional thing that you talk about, we don't have a 3 outside of Otto Porter. Like, that's a problem. Like, I get people on Twitter like, Clutchitson's going to come save us. If you put your eggs in that basket, guess what? They're going to get smashed. You're going to be upset. Like, Denzel hasn't been what we wanted him to be. Hutch hasn't been. Like, it's what you said, Dave. After the starting 3, he has to, like, that's the one thing I'm giving him, like, not credit for, but I'm easing off on the 3-guard lineups because we don't have a 3 on our bench that he can go ahead and play. Now, the Luke Cornett stuff is blowing my mind where it's like, oh, they're abusing us defensively. Go get him, Luke. It's like, no, Luke can't play defense.
The whole point of Luke is stretching the offense.
Exactly.
It's being a continuation of what Lauri can provide for you at the 4, but the problem is that they don't have...
Exactly.
Like, you need to roll with Thad Young and...
Lauri?
No, Thad Young and Wendell Carter Jr. to lock up defensively. Like those are the 2
in
best...
your starting lineup or
I'm just saying,
unit?
period.
Period.
Like, those 2 guys are 2 defenders.
They never come
at
out.
the 4 and the 5. No, I'm just saying, like, at the 4 and the 5, or even if you roll Thad small ball at the 5, like, that's where your interior defense has to come from.
Yeah.
So not having one of those 2 guys on the court at any given time is going to cause problems, especially because they're making up for guys like Lauri Markkanen who can't defend when people go at them, guys who are getting turnstiled by Zach LaVine. Like, when you have people able to slash to the rim like at will, you need to have one of those 2 guys on the court at any time. And we've seen the lineups without them in there where they try to go soft and spread the floor, and it's just jokingly bad. So I just want I want to find a way to at least keep some balance with one of those 2 guys. Like, I agree, the whole Otto Porter's the only 3 is a massive problem. Hutch, I don't know. I don't really have high expectations. Last year he had a string of a handful of good games, and then he disappeared on the court.
I feel like Bulls Twitter is hyping Hutchinson up to something he's not going to live up to.
Again, searching for hope.
Yeah, I know.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Who would you say is looking for that from Hutchinson?
I'm just saying, like, you go on Bulls Twitter, and it's like everybody is just like, this is the guy that's going to save our problem.
What's the word before
lineups.
What's the word before Twitter?
Bulls Twitter.
Bulls.
Yeah.
Bulls.
Bulls
it's
fans.
A ton of Bulls fans. And that is just what Bulls fans are. Gassing up people who do not deserve it. Zach LaVine on this podcast I was told that he was going to be a all NBA player this year. The definition of a fan
gone a little bit too far
of a fan and a fanatic is gassing people up and gassing up people who do not deserve it. Right now, I'm as a guy who
said
loves
all the right things. He said he worked on his defense, and then he showed me he didn't.
Do you know what? I can't wait, because in 5 years, I'm going to be the most listened to radio personality on ESPN because I work hard every single day. I come in with my topics prepared and all my research done. I absolutely know that I'm going to be the best player possible. How many of you believe that? You actually know me. That's not going to fucking happen, guys.
Everything except for ESPN.
Yeah, I could buy it, Sean. I mean, you're an entertaining person. I believe in you.
See? There you go. But guess what? In 5 years, I'm going to be doing this podcast with you guys. It's not a bad thing. but it's going to happen. That's life. Guess what? The guys that have this extremely great potential, these guys that can be the elite of the elite, show it immediately. All right? Zach LaVine's been a pro for 5 years. He still can't play defense. And people might look to that Detroit game last night and be like, he shut down Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose is a 31-year-old point guard with multiple knee surgeries. Good. He should shut down Derrick Rose.
No. Derrick Rose has been blowing by kids not only this year, but also last year.
What is Zach LaVine's best trait?
His ability to finish.
No, what is his best trait? His athleticism.
Yeah.
So you're saying that an athletic 24-year-old guard should not be able to shut down a guy who's 31 years old with multiple knee surgeries. That's bigger
Derrick
than
Rose was more athletic than anyone up to that point in time.
Yeah, but then you become 31 years old and have multiple knee surgeries.
He's still above
athleticism
average.
Goes down.
He's still above average.
But the guy who is younger, the guy who is is more of an athletic prime than Derrick Rose is, should shut him down. And he didn't shut him down for the whole game because he still had like 24 points and 7 assists or whatever. Yeah. He shut him down for like 5 minutes, important 5 minutes, but he didn't shut him down in the other 24 minutes that they played against each other.
Hopefully
so
you don't have to guard him at the 3-point line as well.
Yeah,
at least Zach figured out that much.
It's something that, again, fans will gas up every player on their team 100%. N'Keal Harry's being gassed up by the guy. I'm a Tom Brady guy. So obviously when he gets a new weapon, everyone's gonna be like, "Watch out, N'Keal Harry! Watch out, people sleeping on him." It's he's been injured for 8 weeks and he hasn't been practicing. I doubt he's gonna even have a catch for the next 2 weeks because he doesn't even do the offense yet, and Tom doesn't trust him. You can't start gassing up guys because you like them. Let's see what they actually do. And what Zach LaVine has shown to me is that he is a very good offensive guard.
Yep.
That's it. Yep. And being just that does not make you the elite tier. He can put up points. Great. Devin Booker can do that as well, but Devin Booker hasn't been all NBA throughout his entire career and has been doing this more consistently than Zach LaVine has. I mean, Chandler Hutchinson isn't going to save your season. And if he does, I'd be shocked. That's a bet that I'd actually make.
Oh, okay.
I won't bet against.
Make that bet because that means he's going to play well.
Maybe, but Hutchinson, I didn't see it come when they drafted him. I didn't get why he went 22nd overall. I didn't really like him that much. I don't think he's going to do anything for this team. And all the hope that relies on this team relies on Zach LaVine. It relies on Kobe White. It relies on Wendell Carter Jr. It relies on Lauri Markkanen and Otto Porter. Maybe Satoransky steps up. Maybe Thad Young continues to play well. But those are the guys that you are going to have to hope for. Not Chandler Hutchinson, not Denzel Valentine, not Cristiano Felicio. None of these guys.
Don't even mention Shrek.
We're just waiting to get that dead money off.
I'm throwing out the guys that are on the team. You can gas up anybody you want, but the guys that you need to look at to improve this team
is
are
Ryan
the ones
Arcidiacono, our best shooter.
Boylen's guy. He's a Boylen brother.
He's our best shooter. He's a good defender.
He's consistent. I mean, he is.
Yeah,
so.
that's what I'm just saying. No, I agree, though. Hutch has to come out and do something. Last year, like I said, he had that stretch, basically his last, 8 games that he played before he injured and done for the season. He was putting up decent numbers. I think it was 9 points a game, 7 boards, and maybe an assist. But on 50-30 shooting. That's what, that if he can do a smidge around there, that's fine. That's at least a serviceable 3. Denzel's too slow to play the 3. He's too slow to play everywhere, to be honest. But and
then Shaq Harrison's a guard.
Yeah.
So that doesn't help us.
No.
Our roster handicaps us.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
the answer is you have to outgun teams then. And that's the thing that we haven't, if you're not going to be good defensively, what I had expected us was...
We kind of did it against the Knicks, but the Knicks couldn't shoot. They can't shoot, and that's why we went up by 15 points, and then we let them come back in that game.
Yeah,
what do we do?
We let them come back.
Let them off the...
we let them off the...
And that's one thing right now. I mean, you see it around the NBA. Right now, the Bucks are, outscoring people. They're scoring 120 a game, but they're letting up 112. You look at the Nets, 120 points per game, but they're allowing 120 points per game.
The amazing shootout that was the Rockets and Wizards the other night. Oh my God, that game had it all.
There's some
159, 158 in regular time.
Harden
They had
scores
no
59,
overtimes.
and the team still needs 100 more points to win.
They had no overtimes, and that was the score.
The Wizards, 119 points per game into 119 points allowed. Like, there's teams that are currently efficiently doing that, where the Bulls are one of the worst teams offensively and are still allowing 110 points per game. Right now, they're only above the Pacers, Cavs, Hawks, Knicks, and Magic on points per game, but they're allowing 110 a game, or the Magic are allowing less than 100. So, like, out of all those teams, they're still allowing the most points per game, and they're only like 2 points per game above them. So they don't have the ability to outshoot people. And I think the only game that they got close to was the Hornets, but that was the first game of the year. And what was working for them? It was Markkanen being aggressive. He looked absolutely phenomenal in that game. I was like, oh shit, I'm already ready to eat my words. Having the other 5 games happen.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of what I want to hit on. Is like, great, we've agreed. There's no hope for us to make up defensively for our shortcomings of our players. But why is our offense struggling so much when we have so many talented individuals? And I
blame Boylen.
I point the finger back to Boylen
because he's the one not putting them in position or in the right positions to be successful in my mind.
That is a big part of it. And one of the biggest problems I see is, Lauri should be a catch and shoot 3 guy. And instead he takes that, extra second and a half, puts the ball on the floor, takes a step. It's like all these extra things that he doesn't need to do that makes him less efficient, lets the defender come back. Why don't we run big man pick and pops with him? Like, why don't we come off screens with our offense?
Yes.
It just seems like our offensive playbook is extremely outdated or too simplistic. I can't tell which. Maybe a bit of both, to be honest. It's a little disappointing because when you have someone who is as athletic as Zach and who, has the speed and the incredible finishing ability that he is, like,
body control.
Why can't we get him curling? Why can't we get him coming off of screens? And the only guy who actually sets good screens on our team is Wendell. Like Cornette, no, he's a twig. He does nothing. He doesn't initiate contact. Thad Young can sometimes, but he's been hit and miss on that. It's just one of those perplexing things when I look at how we set up our offense. I don't understand why we have no off-ball motion half the time. It just looks like they're lackadaisical out there, and they're just like, I hope you have a plan to do this because I don't.
Like, hey, Lauri, just stand in a corner and wait for when you get the ball.
And I really
that's what it seems like sometimes.
Can't blame Boylen for not using Markkanen in those sets because I don't think Markkanen is aggressive enough to actually set a good screen. So it's just not going to work.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the reason why he's not doing that because again, this comes back to the lack of aggressiveness that we've seen from Markkanen. And all this stuff too. I mean, like everyone is showing their weakness right now, and that's the biggest thing is Zach showing that he's not good defensively, and when he's not out there offensively, he's a negative for this team. Markkanen showing his lack of aggressiveness, and when your stars aren't playing up, and I'm using stars loosely, but they are for this team. You're going to be 2-4, and you're going to be losing to the Knicks, and you're going to be losing to the Cavs. You're going to be losing to these garbage teams because you need your guys, the talent, to rise up on your team when you're playing these bad teams. Zach did it last night against Detroit. He was phenomenal in those last minutes to help them secure that victory. But he needs to do that each and every night.
Yeah, it needs to be more of a carry job by him at times. One of the funniest things I remember seeing was after that, you spoke about Lauri's first game where he came out aggressive and then that quickly disappeared over the next couple. It's just funny to watch when he gets stuck in a mismatch and he's got like a guard on him and it's like, why are you not backing your ass down into the post and getting the easy bucket? And instead he's taking the vast majority of his shots from outside. And I feel like it's not even like it might be intentional, but it's intentionally settling. It's like you could have better shots. Why aren't you working for them? I can't tell if it was just Boylen saying you're standing behind that line and you're just jacking up shots. Don't even think about playing inside ball at all, or if there's something else going on there where he just doesn't have the confidence, or the offense doesn't want to run through him going low.
I just don't think he's comfortable doing it, and I think if we ponder back to his college days.
Ooh, I hate you.
But if we do,
Dave's like, I hated those days.
What was the reason?
Hated him back then.
Now I'm trying to think like why was Sean Miller trying to do that, right? And we were like, why are you not using him in the situations he's best at? Well, I think one thing is college teams are always just trying to find out ways they can best utilize their players. But they're also trying to help these guys grow, right? And he was trying to show that Markkanen, what can you do in the situations that you're supposed to be in when you're backing up guys, when you're trying to show your physicality. And he was awful. And I think he was just trying to be like, hey, if you're actually going to make it in the NBA, you need to be able to do this. So we're going to put you in opportunities now when you're going up against lesser skilled guys, lesser physical players, that maybe you'll be able to gain some confidence. And he wasn't able to do it in college. He's not going to be able to do it in the NBA. Like, that's why I wasn't trying to like bash him or anything like that, or limit his ceiling or anything like that. In that
you did take a bit of heat for that, but you said nothing emphatically wrong. That's one of the things.
And I think that's something that was shown in college. And that's the biggest thing with this is like, that's the reason why I don't think it's going to turn around is because these guys have shown who they are throughout their career so far. And yes, it's extremely young. And yes, they can work on it and they can work their ass off. And I'm not doubting that Zach LaVine isn't working his ass off. He seems like he's got a good head on his shoulders. Yeah. But sometimes it's just not there for players. Like, I mean,
but if you're going like that brings to the point of like, if you're going to treat him like a 2-guard basically out there and not use his low post game, then have him play like one. Have him come off screens. Have him go in motion because can you imagine, other 7-footers trying to keep up with him as he runs around screens? It's just not realistic. So why not use his athleticism, his size, and his shot to your advantage instead of just being lazy and being like, stand behind the line and hope for an open 3. And guess what? If Zach dishes out to you from, his drive, then he's going to take a bounce, take a step, and then jack up a shot. By the time, you're already covered again. Like, it just comes down to using the guys you have, even though they're not ideal, but you can get more out of them than what you have. And I know we've started off historically bad shooting too. Like that did not help us at all, but that's not even 100% on our players. It's again, the situation that they're put into by their coach. And I think
Otto
that's
Porter finally had a game where it's like you look at his stat line
he's
at
Otto
the end,
Porter
it's
again.
like, oh,
that was the
Otto
guy we
Porter.
traded for.
Yeah, not the guy I saw the first 5 games of the year, but the thing I kind of want to ultimately kind of end on is this.
Can I just say one thing about Otto Porter? I found it weird preseason when they were like, we're going to limit his minutes. We're going to make sure he doesn't play back-to-back minutes, back-to-back games. He's only going to play 30 minutes a game. I found that weird that was announced like right before the first game. Like it wasn't a thing that there was like a whole off-season plan. They said right before.
I think it was
he injured himself.
Yeah, and Stacey and Neil mentioned that on the broadcast.
The reason, and I think that's the thing is why we haven't seen Otto Porter be Otto Porter is because I don't think he's 100% healthy. Yeah. So he's a guy that I would say give a little bit of time because if he does start working, then hey, maybe this team does turn around because we know what he can be
he's a
at his
monster.
top end.
Super efficient shooter.
He's one of the best 3-way players in the league. So maybe that opens up the offense.
You said 3-way player.
I woke up like 2 hours
Special
ago.
teams, baby.
But he's turning punts for this team.
That veteran in the locker room, man. That's the third aspect.
What if instead of tip-offs or jump balls, they have to throw, the other team has to throw it from underneath the basket to the other team like a punt return. You know what I'm saying? And then like they go down and the ref is actually doing it. What if they do that? From the other end of the court, they chuck it up to the other end and it's a jump ball down there like football. We might see some broken legs. Yeah, we might see some broken legs, but it's a chuck down the court, up in the air. Larry Fitzgerald, go up and get it, big boys.
Yeah, I could see some Gordon Hayward situations happening there, man.
But it would be sick.
That made me sick.
Could you imagine
seeing that made me sick?
Could you imagine seeing like LeBron James mossing guys? Like that'd be sick.
Okay, that would be.
Come on.
Yeah.
But ending on this, answering the
definitely
question.
Don't end on what I said.
No. There's one last question we got to hit because we haven't.
The original one?
We've danced around it. We just haven't given a for sure answer, which I'll be honest, I've loved this discussion because it's actually like a fucking discussion that we've had and hasn't just been like, here's our question and go. But will the Bulls fire Jim Boylen this year? And what I'm thinking is I'm leaning towards no, only because of one thing. If I go back to a tweet that Shams had in early January, sources, Bulls head coach Jim Boylen agrees to a new deal with the franchise, increasing his salary for the remaining 2 years, which was last year, and then this year would be his last year on the deal. Part of me says, no, the Bulls don't want to fire him mid-season. If anything, they'll let him ride it out, and if they don't want to rehire him, they'll hopefully, and this is me putting a lot of faith in Garpax, which I shouldn't, conduct a coaching search for a new coach. Or do you think this year is going to get so bad to where Garpax and Jerry are just going to go, fuck it, fire him. Send a message. We're looking for a new coach at the end of the year. I'm thinking he finishes out the year as Bulls head coach, but I wouldn't be surprised if, let's say, we get trade deadline area, like middle of the season area. All right, Jim, it ain't working. You're gone. Send a message. We're looking for a new head coach next year.
I think there's 2 key points to that. And one, the trade deadline piece is interesting because it really depends on how we're doing at that point of the year.
Yeah.
If we're looking to be sellers, like we're not going to be competing. We're looking
Like
at the Bulls of the past couple years where we're looking at the number 7th pick in the NBA draft again.
Yeah.
I could see us moving on pieces, and it's like at that point, why do we want Boylen around this team anymore? But the other piece is, who are the coaches available right now? And like one of the most popular coaches who isn't in a job right now, in my mind, is Dave Yeager, but he's an asshole. And he's been booted out of 2 locker rooms already because he's an asshole. So the question comes back to like, yes, he's good with players, but something clearly doesn't work with him and long term. So you wonder, like, could he be a short-term fix to get this team on the right, hook? And then we'll see from there. Maybe he could work out here in Chicago, where Chicago is naturally full of assholes.
I got this stupid smile on my face because yes, he is an asshole, and I'm also an asshole, so I vibe with him.
Yep.
But the We Agree podcast is alive because I was like, you know what? I'm going to throw out a name that people probably aren't thinking. And I'm like, I'm going to throw out Dave Yeager. Dave threw it out. Dave and I are just thinking the same exact way. But yeah, I mean, this is a team that's very athletic. They can play quickly. And seeing them in a high up-tempo offense, like we saw with the Kings, be awesome. I would love that. And you have guys that are pretty fluid, guys that can hit trailing threes like Wendell and Lauri Markkanen. Be sick. Like, I would love to see that Kings offense just implemented with this Bulls team. Be disgusting. I'd love to see it. So yeah, Yeager would be mine, but no, there's absolutely, you're stuck with Jim Boylen for 3 years. Have fun. Like, I don't care. I said it already. They're not.
For 3 years?
How many? This year and then 2 years.
This would be the last one, according to the tweet from Shams, unless they extended him.
No, I think they extended him 2 years after this.
Then yeah,
let me
2 years.
Let me look it up. But
tweet I'm looking at from earlier this year says
I think
they gave him a
3 years.
raise, and it says remaining 2 years of his contract this year, and then 2019-2020, which is the year we're currently in.
Yeah, increasing his salary on the remaining 2 seasons of his contract. Yeah, I see that one.
Yeah, I get. Okay, so I mean, you're stuck with him for the end of the contract. That's what I think. I guess.
We're not getting rid of him beforehand.
Absolutely not.
The thing that I almost
you're talking about the loyal Chicago Bulls. It's not going to happen. They're going to fire him too late, and it's probably already too late.
And I mean, the thing is, of the follow-up question before we move on into the Bears is, let's say they do shock us and get rid of Boylen. Dave threw out Dave Yeager. When you said a coach that's not in the NBA, for a second, my brain forgot I was listening to Dave Oster talk, and I was like, "Oh, is he going to agree Is he going to agree with Vince in our comment section?"
Who would Vince say?
Vince said on my last reaction, Mark Jackson should be the head coach, and Lauri, it just isn't tough enough.
Again, there's a reason Mark Jackson hasn't been picked up by another NBA team yet.
I honestly think the Bulls, with where we're at right now, and I wouldn't be surprised. I would not hate if the Bulls fired Boylen and then went into the college ranks.
I'd be fine with that.
I think Fred wasn't a terrible hire in my mind. He just was never given. Like, if Fred had this team, I want to see what Fred could have done with this team, because
I know Sam, our patron, was a big fan of Fred, and he thinks this is the team that would have fit his offense much better.
Exactly. Like, we don't shoot the three well enough, but maybe he could have coached us to shoot the three well enough.
Otto Porter, career great shooter.
Exactly.
Lauri Markkanen, career above average. Zach LaVine, above average.
And maybe Kobe when you got a guy who can teach the three and actually shoot them, otherwise
Cornette, great shooter.
With Boylen, it's just like, no, we don't trust that shot. We don't work on that. I don't know what they work on in practice. I'm not there.
The terms weren't announced, but the way that it's tweeted, I think it was saying that the deal that he originally signed after getting after Hoiberg was canned was that deal would take him through this season.
Yes.
So his original deal.
Okay.
So I think they extended his original deal. The original deal would have taken him through 2019, 2020. And and at least from Bulls.com it says, in accordance with team policy, terms of contract were not announced. And I have not seen his actual terms. I think it's been talked about a 3-year deal, so I think he's got 3 more years left. That's what I was basing it off of. I could be wrong, but I don't see any official terms. I think I think this is his first year of the extension, so I think you got 2 more years with him, including this year.
I'm sorry. I'm at the point right now where I'm so frustrated with Jim Boylen. I couldn't handle another year with Jim Boylen right now, let alone 3 more. But Bulls fans, let us know what you guys think down below about your frustrations with the Bulls right now. Will they fire Jim Boylen? Should they fire Jim Boylen? I know the answer to the second one is yes.
Is he the man to blame for all of our struggles?
Well, true, because sometimes it's not all the coach, but we like to just pile on the coach. So let us know what you guys are thinking down below.